Hello, everybody. Welcome back here to JVO TV. Today, we're going to be following up with an older video we had a couple days ago on why millennials want to quit their job. I urge you guys to go ahead and check that out. In this part two, we're going to be checking out a little bit more and diving a little bit deeper on why you or any other millennial wants to quit their job. Let's get into it. You ever prepare for a hard day's work and you know it's going to be a long shift and you know that your day is either going to go good or bad, even before you start it? These are the same things that our essential workers go through. And this is exactly why it's directly tied into why millennials want to quit their jobs. Being on the front line not only causes extra exposure to the sickness, it also causes stress on the average millennial. These are unusual times, so we have to take into account this sickness as something serious and long-lasting that can impact the workforce for years to come. I am personally not an essential worker, but I was personally impacted by the sickness over United States earlier this year, and I can personally tell you that the workload has been doubled or tripled in some cases with no financial compensation for it. Mind you, there was some type of extra pay in the beginning, but as far as I can see, most jobs have stopped paying those extra wages to essential workers. In the beginning, we have to remember there wasn't much protective gear for our essential workers and nurses on the front line, and it caused a lot of tension and a lot of people to want to quit their jobs. So that's another reason why I wanted to put this in a video. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the sickness and why it's impacting, but I just wanted you guys to know that it's a major factor in why millennials do want to quit their jobs. So with that being said, let's jump straight into finances. Finance is something that every average American wants to improve on. Whether you want to quit your job or not, finances are always at the forefront of any decision you should be making on whether you're staying or going from your job or any sole proprietorship that you are involved in. Finances can also be tricky because you get paid based upon what the job thinks you're worth, and your self-worth is what you think you're worth. Our self-worth is always going to be more than what any job is going to say that we're worth. That's exactly why a lot of people look at finances as a main reason of quitting their job as millennials. Let's use an example so you guys can get a better understanding of what I'm saying. Let's say you're a good worker. You've always been a good worker. You've always been on time. You've always done your assignments, and you've always listened to your boss. You put a good 10 years into your job. You worked hard to get where you're at. You want to be compensated for the time and effort you put in to that job. Your job has a set schedule on what they pay you for years of experience that you've had there. You already know this, but yet you expect them to do the right thing and promote you to the position that you rightfully deserve. Your day comes. You get the promotion that you're looking for. All is well with you. You're happy as you ever have been. Well, that is until you get your first check and you realize that this position doesn't pay what you thought it would pay. After 10 years of service, you're not getting what you thought you were owed. But JVO, I worked harder than everybody else. I stayed after work, I came early, I did everything I could to get ahead. I thought they would see that and compensate me properly. Well, doesn't work like that, buddy. After 10 years, you were going to make exactly what they said you were going to make, no matter how hard you worked. That is exactly why millennials want to get out and get better finances than they would in the workplace, because it's always going to be the same if you don't work for yourself. I will say this about finances though. I don't think millennials want to just maintain like generations before and have a good life. I think they want to go above and beyond. They want to have huge, expensive, extravagant lives. They want to be seen in the social media area. So finances is a big thing with millennials. And it's a big reason why they don't want to be in the workplace anymore. Now, this example directly ties into our next category, which is the stock market and 401ks. Unlike the two generations before us, gone are the days of pensions and guaranteed money every month. We have something called a 401k, which is a pot of money that is invested over a period of time that you work at a company for you and your future. Before 2005, it was not uncommon for companies to give you pensions either, which was allotment of money every month for working an amount of years of service for that company. I know what you're thinking. What does my 401k and the stock market have to do with me wanting to quit my job? Well, let's look into it. Earlier this year, the sickness that engulfed United States was devastating for the stock market. So a lot of people with 401ks took a big hit since 401ks are tied to the stock market and the Fortune 500 companies. The problem lies in that the stock market is unpredictable, just like gambling at a casino. It can go up and down, and your life is tied to this, and your pot of money in that 401k is tied to this casino. That's why when anything significant happens in the economy, the stock market can take a big hit, either go up or down. Also with your money. Okay, my viewers, let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you lost money in your 401k earlier this year during the crash. Yeah, I know. A lot of us were unfortunate in that situation. Don't tell me about it. But you see how easy it is to lose money in the stock market, especially when you're saving for your retirement versus a pension when you get an allotment of money every month religiously. I would also say that millennials are not financially savvy enough to understand their future yet. Any major loss of money in any account could trigger any millennial to quit his job. So this will be a lot of frustration and stress on anybody who lost this amount of money. I mean, you have traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks outside of the workplace, all of which most millennials don't know anything about. Let's touch on our last but not least major factor, and you guys know what I mean, that is housing. Housing in the United States, particularly for millennials, since this video is about millennials quitting their jobs. When I say housing, I don't necessarily mean just houses, but apartment living too. Let me throw some facts at you guys for millennials so you can understand. As of July 2020, 52% of millennials stay at home with their parents, which can create a depressing situation. This hasn't happened since the Great Depression in 1929. That's the last time that so many young people stayed at home with their parents. I mean, how do you feel about being in someone else's space when you reach a certain age? I don't know about you, but I know it can be a lot of tension between parents and children when you reach past a certain age, because you want your own space and your parents definitely want their own space after you've been raised. It's real tricky, so I'm going to leave it alone at that because everybody's situation is different, especially baby boomers and Generation X. You have to understand it was a different time back then. The whole American dream was to buy a house, get a white picket fence, a family, and live happily ever after. Well, that's not the case today. Owning a home is more financially strenuous than it ever has been, especially if you're a minority in the United States. I found some interesting facts for you guys. 88% of millennials live in metropolitan areas, which means only 12% of us live in rural areas. That's higher than any generation before it. So it just tells me and gives me a signal that everybody is packed in. Nobody is spread out in the United States. We all live in major cities, especially younger millennials. Don't get it misconstrued. Most millennials still want to own homes, but want is a big word. The question should be, is will we own those homes in the future? And based on data and how things are trending, I'm not so sure about those statements. More and more millennials are renting than ever before and actually staying renters. My point to all this being said is millennials don't want to get into long-term agreements with houses. They don't want to be tied down. Millennials want to be free. And to be free, you have to take that shackle of a job off of you, which is a weight. That's exactly why all these numbers correlate with this generation. All of these things I'm telling you guys is fact. Should you quit your job because these things are a financial burden and stressful? No. Should you quit your job for better opportunity and belief in yourself? Yes. We can agree to disagree. Whatever you decide, just know that your future is in your hands. Why do I want to quit my job? That's an interesting question, and I think I answer a lot of that in this video. I personally want to quit my job because I'm a millennial myself. I want to do things that generations before me didn't do. And when you have something like a job, it's a shackle. You know, you want financial freedom is what I'm getting at. And we're going to discuss more stuff like that in more videos. And we're going to get down to even more serious topics like Social Security and all the things that's keeping millennials back, giving them reasons to quit their jobs. I'm interested to hear what you guys got to say on the subject. Would you quit your job? Would you go through these extreme lengths? Do you agree with some of the things I'm talking about in this video? If not, you know, it's all open to opinion. So go ahead and leave your comments down below. And hopefully you guys got some valuable content out of this. If you learned something and if you got something out of it, go ahead and subscribe and like. If you didn't get something out of it, go ahead and subscribe and like. Anyway, this is YAHOO TV. I'm interested to hear what you guys got to say. And until next time, be safe.